morning, good morning. Come in. Good Morning Blues is an interesting piece because that we found an old tape of me and put it onto cassette from a 7.5 reel-to-reel of music that had been recorded of me very primitively in a kitchen of a farmhouse in Cornwall in southwest England. And I'd done it in 1958, so I was just like 17, 18 years of age then. And as I say in my liner notes, I was so serious. You could hear me being so serious in my voice. I've lightened up over the years, that's for sure.
Good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? I say good morning, blues. Blues, how do you do? I'm doing all right, boy. Good morning, how are you?
I was attracted to the blues, I guess, it has to be 1953 when I heard my first Leadbelly and Big Bill Broonzy albums. Leadbelly wasn't actually a blues singer per se. He was an itinerant folk musician who happened to include some blues in his repertoire. It just grabbed my imagination. There I was, a kid of 12 at that time. It reached out to me like the works of the great poets. It was an intense attraction for me. I mean, it was like falling in love for the first time, I suppose. I still get shivers up and down the spine listening to his music. It's a very pure music.
Hangman, slack your rope, slack it for a while. Think I see my back coming down many a mile, coming down many a mile. Mama, did you bring the silver? Did you bring the gold? Did you bring me anything? Sing it on the gallows pole. Sing it on the gallows pole.
Gallows Pole is a song I've been singing for many, many years. I think the first time I did it, it must have been about 1958, maybe 1959. And I think we caught a very good groove in our recording of it there. Of course, when I used to do it in 58, 59, I was purely on my own, didn't have other musicians. Back then, I was a much more proficient and capable guitar player than I am now, say. I mean, I tend to fumble and stumble around the neck on the guitar, but in my late teens and early 20s, I had developed a proficiency that was almost Leo Cockerish in its diversity and you know, the speed and all the rest of it. I stopped playing guitar really at the start of the 70s and haven't played much since, actually. So this is in many ways a first for me, especially dedicating an album to the works of one particular person, albeit the songs on here aren't necessarily all Leadbellies, but they are songs that were associated with the man.
I have brought you silver, yes, I have brought you gold. I have brought you everything. Sing it on the gallows pole. Sing it on the gallows pole. Sing it on the gallows pole.
I do like the off-the-wall zaniness of John Hardy. The music was provided on an 1865 pump organ I have in my hallway, which John Lee Sanders played. And you can hear him treadling away on the push pedal things, you know, the treadles.
John Hardy was a desperate little man, carried 2 guns every day. He shot a man on the West Virginia line. Should have seen John Hardy getting away, poor boy. Seen John Hardy getting away.
That makes for a very, very interesting sound there. So, somewhat very different, probably different from anything that's to be heard in mainstream pop music these days, that's for sure. Although I would hardly describe this album as mainstream pop. I think it is of interest to people who want to know where music came from, because although these are basically all my versions of the songs, they haven't move that far out of the time zone they came from, which was, turn of the 19th century, I should say, through till about the 1930s or 1940s. So it's something almost out of a time capsule.
When you wake up in the morning, you hear the big bell ring. You go marching to the table. You see the same damn thing, not fork around the table. Ain't nothing in my past. And if you say a thing about it, you're in trouble with the man. On the midnight special, shine a light on me. Let the midnight special shine its ever-loving light on me.
Midnight Special, well, of course, that's one of the more famous songs associated with Leadbelly. Kathy MacDonald does some fine vocals on this. And, of course, our good friend Tom Kolkoff plays some great clarinet in there. John Lee Sanders was playing tuba on the song. And, of course, that's another Prison Farm song.
Go down, old Hannah, don't rise no more.
Go Down, Old Hannah. That probably goes back to African folklore, where they refer to the sun as a person. And Old Hannah actually is the sun. And it was common for the sun to be referred to as Old Hannah down in the South, especially among the prisoners on the prison farms, because Old Hannah rising in the morning meant that was the start of their working day, and they wouldn't be finishing until Old Hannah set in the west. It made for an extremely long and rigorous working day.
You rise in the morning on Judgment Day.
The power of Leadbelly appealed to me. It was, yes, so much legend has been written about him, but it comes leaping out of the record at you, the power of the man. You can just feel those huge, great, sinewy hands snaking around the 12-string guitar. And, well, I've got big hands. I suppose that's one thing I have in common with Leadbelly. And I guess it's the poet in the man is where I'm coming from as well. It's the poetic side of John Baldry that emulates, if you like, the poetic side of Leadbelly.
We shall walk through the valley in the shadow of death. We shall walk through the valley in peace. And if Jesus himself shall be our leader, we shall walk through the valley in peace.
I'm going to change the subject quickly because there's a little creature on the floor. Tell me who that is.
Oh, that's Sebastian. He's a giant French lop rabbit. He's never had a mistake in the house, so he comes in and visits. And then we have another rabbit out there, a blue Angora called Dolly. And I don't know where she is right now, but Sebastian's come in looking for his morning carrot.
We shall walk through the valley in the shadow of death. We shall walk through the valley in peace.
Are you happy with how your life turned out?
Oh, very much so. I'd like to have made more of this, just a little bit more of an impact, I suppose. I still have it within me, I think, to have a mainstream recording success. Hell, I've done it once before, have a top 10 thing, just to show that I can do it. But I've reached many of the goals and milestones in my life, and been very happy, been very proud to have done what I've done in the last, been a long time, 45 years. So I'm hoping that we'll have a big celebration to celebrate my 50 years of being in the music business. Of course, when I started, it wasn't really a business. It was more a cottage industry back then.
We shall walk through the valley